Oh. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणे। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। In the last session, we concluded the chapter 4 called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. And there we found beautiful compounds called samasas describing the jnani. Words like jnani is a jnanaki datta karma, sarva tyakta parigraha, nirashihi, nirashayaha, nitya triptaha, yadrichalav santushtaha, kama sankalpa varjitaha, and it went on and on and on, describing the same sthita prajnaha that we studied at the end of chapter 2. The one who is able to see inaction in every action and action in inaction. The one who happily engages in actions like Loka Sangraham or just even the Sharira Yatra, maintenance of the body, free from raga and dveshas. And how does that happen? Because of the discovery of the fullness. Jnanena karmanam sannyasaha, renouncing not physically and literally the actions, but abiding as the actionless, calm, sakshi, drik, and allowing actions to happen. That was the content of chapter 4 that we saw. Now, today we are going to see an extension of that chapter, chapter 5, which is called Karma Sannyasa Yoga or simply Sannyasa Yoga. And it is a shorter chapter of 29 verses, but also very, very loaded because the term sannyasa is not very clear, especially to Arjuna. Sannyasa, we understand to mean renunciation, but renunciation of what? So we have 3 chapters in the entire Gita and whose topics have this word sannyasa. Jnana Karma Sannyasa, chapter 4. Then we have Karma Sannyasa, chapter 5, and 18th is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga chapter. So the secret of renunciation is going to be explained by Krishna. Now, this chapter again begins with Arjuna's doubt. And it is the same doubt that Arjuna had in the 3rd chapter also. So Arjuna asks the question, Krishna, you are praising Sankhya, you are saying knowledge liberates, but then why do you impel me to karma? When karma binds, why should I enter and perform this ghora karma? Which is better? Should I not take up sannyasa? Why should I continue the performance of the duty? And the same question Arjuna is asking because he is not clear about Krishna's response in the earlier chapters. So despite chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, Arjuna has the same doubt because the problem is in the raga dveshas that are clouding his mind. Yeah? And so Krishna is going to give consistently what? The same response. Yeah? And Krishna doesn't get impatient and says, Vorudarun chalina porada. How many times I have to tell you, stop bugging me, Arjuna, and pestering me? No. Krishna is ever so compassionate and gives a very clear, consistent response each time. So in this chapter also, Krishna in the beginning repeats about the Nishtha Dvayam. Nishtha Dvayam means the two kind of lifestyles. If you remember, 3rd chapter began with that important shloka number 3. Lokesmin vividha nishtha pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. So again, Krishna is going to present these two lifestyles. And the two lifestyles are prescribed by the entire Vedas. First, what do we have? The initial part of our life of the Jiva Yatra will be always action-oriented, Pravritti Margaha. And Pravritti Margaha, then the latter part of the Jiva Yatra or lives will be withdrawal, contemplative, and Nivritti Margaha. And these two lifestyles are beautifully described by the Vedas in the form of the ashramas. We all know that there are the 4 ashramas which are important milestones in our Jiva Yatra. Stations. The Jiva Yatra is like a train journey. These are our stations. The first is Brahmacharya, ideally 25 years, Grihasthashrama, the next 25 years, then Vanaprastha, and then finally Sannyasa Ashrama. Now, here, Krishna is echoing the essence of the Vaidika Dharma. Vaidika Dharma is also talking about the twofold lifestyles. So, as a brahmachari, what is the focus? Dharma. It is a Dharma Pradhana stage where the brahmachari or the brahmacharini is going to build up the viveka and focus on the study, the awareness, and pick up knowledge, and also a lot of seva to the family, community, country, to lead very, very active, where the youth have to be very active here. That is the brahmacharya stage. Then, after exiting the brahmacharya stage, there is a choice. One can either enter the grihastha or take to naishthika brahmacharya. Brahmachari the whole life, if one is clear that one does not want to enter the grihastha. But the Vedas, enjoin or recommend the grihastha ashrama to enter it. And the grihastha ashrama, we all know, it is a karma pradhana ashrama. Lot of duties, responsibilities will be there towards the family, towards the community, towards the society. And in this ashrama also, it is called the Jeshta ashrama, exalted. Because this ashrama, we have the contributors. We have those who are earning income only in this ashrama and supporting the other 3 ashramas. But at the same time, it comes with a price. There is so much tapas and tyaga that this is an excellent ashrama to grow in the internal maturity and calmness of the mind. So many sacrifices have to be made. So the Grihastha ashrama involves all these duties and responsibilities, and including the Pancha Mahayajnas, to take care of our, not only our family, but in expanding circles, the community and the world and the environment, all that contributes to the Chitta Shuddhi in the mind. Then, after the Grihastha ashrama, what is next? Exiting the Grihastha ashrama, the Vedas offer the next stage, that is the retirement stage, and it is called Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is going to a forest, but not literally. In this Vanaprastha, we bring the forest to our home or our flat. Yeah, that is to be like a forest dweller. Now, Paramarthanandaji beautifully says, as a Vanaprasthi, you be like a guest in your own home. So a guest will be very polite, non-demanding, non-interfering, non-judgmental. So one delegates more in this ashrama, and one expects and demands less and less. And also one has to withdraw from the social engagements and activities. Why? To free up the time for your own growth. Puja Swamiji was asked by parents once, Swamiji, when does our duty as a parent end? And Swamiji said very clearly, the moment you give your children a good education, a stable foundation, there ends your duty. Yeah? Then you have to focus on your inner growth. So Vanaprastha is about inner growth, freeing up the time for Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Upasanas. Yeah? And this will only happen when we withdraw, from all the family functions and travel and social involvements, yeah, which can be a distraction also. Yeah. So, in fact, Vanaprastha is considered a pre-sannyasi stage. Pre-sannyasi stage means it is going to prepare us for the last ashrama, that is the sannyasa ashrama. Now, in our Hindu society, which is very much duty-based, that is, in every ashrama, duties are involved. Yeah, duties towards the children or parents or community or environment or country. It's always duty-based. But the sannyasa ashrama is the only ashrama where the sannyasi is exempt from all duties. Because the sannyasi is now mature enough to devote exclusively to the pursuit of this liberating knowledge or paravidya. So the only actions will be some guru seva, but all the time the mind has to be absorbed in the knowledge, pursuit of this knowledge. So the sannyasi is mentally prepared to lose everything because of the parama vairagyam. So the sannyasi declares that let me be ready to lose everything before Yama comes and claims everything. So when Yama comes to take away the prana, we have to go along with Yama. The sannyasi says, yes, let's go. I am ready. So the Vedic setup is allowing the mind to mature through the ashramas. And so Krishna does not want to disturb the mindset of a grihastha. So he is not going to tell Arjuna, okay, you stop your grihastha duty and take to a life of sannyasa because knowledge liberates. No. So the mind has to ripen like the fruit on a tree. Just as a ripe fruit detaches from the tree, so the mind detaches effortlessly from the samsara vrikshaha, having gone through these ashramas. And of course, the minority will be the exceptions, like a Nachiketa, who at a very young age, due to Purvajanma samskaras, are ready for sannyasa or Naishtikim brahmacharya. So we all know that this setup is there because of our needs. Yeah. And you probably have heard of this Maslow's triangle. No? So as one is born, no, as a baby, there are needs, physical needs, emotional needs, survival needs. And then as we grow, there is a need to develop self-esteem, then emotional needs, intellectual needs, aesthetic needs, and so on. So that is why the Vedic setup beautifully, gives us the ashramas to fulfill all the dharma, artha, kama needs. The need for pleasure, the need for wealth, status, name, fame. And then finally, here, the self-actualization and transcendence is talking about the need to be free from all the needs. So that is called Purushartha Nishchayaha. When one has discovered the Vairagyam that now I do not want to pursue Artha and Kama. Yeah? I want to discover the fullness. I want the freedom and peace. And that is about Moksha, Purushartha. And that is the goal of the Sannyasa Ashrama. So you see, the goal is the same for all the ashramas. That is the final destination and goal. But the path, the route is different. So Krishna is constantly impressing upon Arjuna that Arjuna, Grihastha is a safe, pleasant, comfortable route. You have company here, you have stability, you have security. Whereas the Sannyasa Marga is like a razor's edge. Yeah? It is the path of self-denial, discipline, renunciation, where the sannyasi has to only depend upon Ishvara or Guru Kripa. And so Krishna knows that not every mind is suitable for sannyasa. And so for the majority, Krishna is going to recommend what? Karma Yoga Marga. So that is, the fourfold Vedic setup. Now, the word sannyasa. The sannyasa word is has got the word nyasa. No? Nyasa means giving up. Giving up. So don't we all give up eating on Ekadashis? That is nyasa. So when we give up any habit, let's say, I will reduce my screen time. I'm giving up nyasa. I'm giving up coffee, sugar habit, all nyasa. But sannyasa is called samyak nyasaha. Samyak means perfect or total. The total renunciation, as was pointed out in the earlier chapter also, is the renunciation of the I notion, the deha abhimana, the notion of ownership. This is I, this is me, this is mine. That notion, when it is given up, how is it given up? Only by knowledge, not by physically giving up actions. So that is called samyak nyasaha or sannyasaha. So this chapter is going to talk about sannyasa. And so now if we analyze our own lives, which ashrama are we in? I would say, except for a few, I can see in front of me, 4 or 5 who are in the Grihastha stage. All of us are in the Vanaprastha stage. Yeah? Vanaprastha stage is the pre-sannyasa stage. Yeah? And so here, Swamiji would say that we have to reduce the port. Now let me explain the acronym port. So, just like we saw RIDE, RIDE acronym, port means P stands for possessions, O obligatory duties and responsibilities, R responsibilities, and T transactions. So now we will find that for a Grihastha, there will be lot of attachments towards port. So as the body advances, we slow down. Metabolism slows down and energy slows down, but the mind is active. Yeah? So we have to free up the time. How can we do that? By reducing the attachment towards port reduction. So that means we have to move away from an activity-centered life. Now that's again a choice, yeah? And Swamiji would also say we have to start moving away from being dependent on our relationships and strengthen the bond to 3 entities. Ishvara, Guru, and Shastra in the Vanaprastha stage. Yeah, the threefold connections have to become very, very strong. Of course, we have to strike a balance, at our home and between the family life and the movement towards that goal. See, even when we declare a camp, how difficult or how easy it is for a family to come for 3 days. So because we have to examine our attachments, are my attachments growing stronger with time, or am I balanced in my attachment to the family and my duties? Yeah? So this is the Vedic setup. To be a guest in the Vanaprastha ashrama. Earlier times, Vedic times, like Yajnavalkya, they literally went to the forest, leaving the home behind, a Gurukulam, and in order to do Nidhi Dhyasana. But today it is not needed. We bring the forest life of detachment, solitude, contemplation into our life. So some people will be already contemplative in their younger age, like Nachiketa. And they will have vairagyam towards the attractions of the world. But the majority, they go through the ashramas, which is very valid as per the Vedas. But then the Vedas say, slowly begin to withdraw. Come to Purushartha Nischaya. Come to the Parama Purushartha in the Jnana Kanda. Begin inquiry and develop Viveka and Vairagyam. So, that is the important point here. Now, there are various kinds of sannyasa. So we have to be clear about the types of sannyasa. So let us briefly take a look at that. Now, the word sannyasa we know is renunciation. Okay. Now, there are people in the world, who are called escapist sannyasis. That is, all you need is an orange cloth or a white cloth. There's sannyasis in all these shades, orange, white, or pink, or even Tibetan sadhus, they wear maroon, right? Maroon. So then our culture or our society gives so much importance to sadhus. In the north, the public transport is free for them. They're not charged. And then dakshina is given to them, bhiksha is given to them. So some people will take the easy route and just don clothes to appear as a sannyasi and to get all the benefits. That is definitely to be avoided. Then the next sannyasa are those who are clear that they do not want to enter the grahastha ashrama. That is called vividisha sannyasa or ashrama sannyasa. Now, like us, like all these swaminis and swamijis, and who have, taken the sannyasa ceremony, the oath. And so the Guru gives the sannyasa diksha, ideally by the Ganga on Mahashivaratri. That is because such swamis want to gain the knowledge by entering into a monastic life. So then what happens? There will be more me time, no duties, no responsibilities, but no security also. No security, no steady source of income. So, but they're clear that they do not want the roundabout route through the grahastha ashrama, and they want only direct. This Vividisha sannyasa is about that. It's also called ashrama sannyasa. Then we have the internal karma sannyasi, which is the topic of the Gita. Yeah? Now, in the Gita, we have just seen that how initially what happens in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a karma phala tyaga. Slowly we begin to shift cognitively to detach from the phala, outcome. And then as we progress, then as I discover the knowledge, study the knowledge, I begin to give up the I notion also. And I do Atma Anatma Viveka, and this process is called the Antara Sannyasa, the internal or mental sannyasa, which is what the Gita is going to encourage all the time. Then finally, but what? The final sannyasa is what? Is the Sarva Karma Sannyasa. That is the goal. That is moksha. The moksha does not mean simply sitting still and doing nothing. Yeah. Even Ramana Maharshi sat still, no doubt, for 50 years. But there was intensive state of awareness and meditation inside. And there was calmness. And that is called Sarva Karma Sannyasi. So the Sarva Karma Sannyasis are of various kinds. Pujya Swamiji traveled to all the countries in the world as a Sarva Karma Sannyasi. Shankara traveled the length and breadth of Bharat, Sarva Karma Sannyasi. Vyasacharya, Krishna, they say Krishna had 16,000 wives, even though in the Grahastha Krishna is a Sarva Karma Sannyasi. So Sarva Karma Sannyasa is about the gaining that knowledge of the actionless akarta abhokta atma. So these are the various kinds of sannyasas. As there is confusion, we have seen what is the difference. Now let us see what the chapter's topics are. And there are basically these few topics. From verse 1 to 6, Krishna is going to explain the two kinds of lifestyles. Grahastha versus Sannyasa, Nishtha Dvayam. Then topic 2, from 7 to about 21 will be again Karma Yoga, the Karma Yoga Jnani and the Jnana Yogi. Then the Sadhana Phalam. What is the benefit of this knowledge? And then finally, topic 4 is going to introduce the next chapter. The last 3 shlokas are called Bija Shloka. Bija Shloka means they will introduce the next topic of Dhyana Yoga in the end of this chapter. So now let's see what is Arjuna's doubt in the first verse. Arjuna uvacha sanyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So again Arjuna asks the question that which is better, sannyasa Krishna or karma yoga? And what does Bhagavan say? Sri Bhagavan uvacha sanyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa karavubhau tayostu karma sanyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Very clearly Krishna says sannyasa marga and karma yoga both are nishreyasa karau. Karau ubhau, both. That is, both will give the outcome of nishreyas, moksha. But tayoho tu karma sanyasat karma yogaha vishishyate. So Krishna is clearly, telling Arjuna that of the two, karma yoga is suitable for the majority and especially you, Arjuna, because Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, they are not your real enemies. Your real enemies are Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha in the mind. How do we address that? Only one way, Karma Yoga. So engage in this Dharma Yuddha, and Krishna is not going to allow Arjuna to take to sannyasa. So he says, remain in the society, perform your divine duty as an ajna, as a yajna, whatever way you want to see it. Yeah, but it is suitable for you. And so then Krishna continues up to 6th, saying why Karma Yoga is, preferred. Sankhya Yoga prithak balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekam apyastita samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. Ubhayoho, that is of the two, Arjuna, why are you worrying? Phalam is one, ekam. Whether it is Sankhya Yoga or Karma Yoga, yeah, Panditaha don't see them as, different. They have the same phalam, which is moksha. And, we all know by now that Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are not optional. They're not options. Everybody has to go through Karma Yoga first to gain the Adhikaritvam, steady, purified mind, and then take to Jnana Yoga. So Karma Yoga paves the way for Jnana Yoga, And Karma Yoga is necessary but not sufficient. And Jnana Yoga is the goal, but it is not possible without having done Karma Yoga. So that is what Krishna is saying, that the ultimate phalam is Jnanameva Moksha, but for that there is a route, there is a Vedic way of life. And again, Krishna explains that, I think, in the next shloka also. Yeah, fifth one. And the fifth one we'll take up. Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tadyogayrapi gamyate ekam sankhyan cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. So the one who is pursuing knowledge, will not be afraid of performing action. Karma Yoga is going to take me to the Jnana Dwaram. So why should I hesitate from doing what is to be done? That is what Krishna is saying. And so further in the fifth shloka or sixth shloka, Krishna says, why is sannyasa not to be taken? And there is a warning here. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptuma yogataha yoga yukto munir brahma nachirenadhigacchati. O Arjuna, sannyasa is difficult. Dukkham aptum ayogataha. So, sannyasa is difficult, says Krishna. Why? Because we have already seen the reason that as a grahastha, there is security. What is the security for a grahastha? Family. Family is an institution which gives stability and security, and there is wealth. There are stocks and shares, maybe investments will be there, gold will be there, company is there, and then one can have that emotional exchange through relationships. It's a wonderful institution. But today, unfortunately, we see it crumbling, because impurities have crept in, and it is they're not valuing the duty-based life prescribed by the Vedas. So if everybody wants rights, then it is going to crumble. It's become very volatile these days, but not so in those days. Grihastha ashrama was upholding all the other ashramas, and it is called Jeshta ashrama, upholding Sanatana Dharma. So there is stability and security in the. Where is stability for sannyasis? So there is no fixed source of income. There are no savings. There's no gold or stock investments. So sannyasa is dukkham aptum ayogataha. Then again, due to port, which we saw, due to possessions and duties, responsibilities and transactions, there will be attachments for a grihastha. And because of that, there will be worries also. The heart will also go up and down. We are worried about children's future, education, settlement, marriage, then even beyond marriage. Now, these worries are not there for a sannyasi. Because for a sannyasi, vasudha eva kutumbakam, the whole world is a family, but there is no personal attachment to any one person. Because of the exclusive commitment to knowledge. But the risk here, what is the risk here? If the sannyasi's mind is not prepared for the contemplative life, if the mind is not mature and regrets the step, oh, why did I take sannyasa? Am I missing out on all the fun? Then the purpose of sannyasa ashram will be wasted. And it is considered a one-way route. You cannot return, cannot reverse the sannyasa step. So it is better, Krishna says, to be a grihastha and go through the grihastha ashrama. Then your mind will be ripe to appreciate the sannyasa topic better. But again, both the lifestyles lead to the same goal. Ekam api astitaha samyak ubayoho, Krishna has said earlier. So this wraps up the first 6 shlokas of the 5th adhyaya. Now, 7th onwards, we see beautiful shlokas on the stages of awareness. Take a look at 8th and 9th. नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् श्वपन् श्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. Tattvavit. The Tattvavit is the Jnani. Now the Jnani is a Yuktaha. Manyeta. What does the Jnani think about? What is he clear about? Naiva kinchit karomi. I do not do anything. I do not perform any action. Even while Pashyan, Shrinvan, Speshan, Jikran, Ashnan, all our Shatru Pratyas here, Sanskrit students, yeah, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, then blabbering, blabbering, eliminating wastes, grin and grasping, unmission, closing the eyes, opening the eyes, so many activities, voluntary, involuntary actions are going on. But Tattvavit is thinking what? Naiva kinchit karomi. I am actionless. So this is what the previous chapter said. Karmani akarma darshanam. Seeing inaction in action. Then who is acting? How does action happen? Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. Iti dharayan. So Tattvavit is clear that actions continue. Wherever there are gunas, actions will happen. They will be sweating in the body in summer. Yeah, eyelids will open and close. The stomach will demand some food. Then it has to digest. All the actions continue, but I remain as the actionless Atma. Then the 10th shloka is also very, very famous. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyatena sapapena padmapatramivambhasa. Padma is a very common name. So Padma is a beautiful name meaning lotus. So this is an analogy given in many of our shastras. Lotus is highly praised. The gods are either sitting or standing on a lotus or holding a lotus. And we recently heard about the lotus speciality, how the lotus leaf will never be stained by water. So like that, the mind of a jnani is Brahmani Adhaya. So the mind is so right that it is untouched because it is abiding in the Atma. Such a mind is like a lotus leaf. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa has said a similar thing and said, let the boat be in water, but let not the water be in the boat. So that is, water means the worldly life. Worldliness, may it not creep into our mind. Yeah, and let the mind remain pure and steady as the lotus leaf. So these few verses up to 12 is all about such yogi gains the shantim. Naishtikim shantim apnoti. Then from 13 onwards, we find the description of the jnana yogi in a very beautiful shloka. And that is सर्वकर्माणि मनसा सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्. This is the firm understanding of this jnani. Naiva kurvan na karayan. Neither do I act, nor do I cause action to be done. I am happily residing in this 9-gated body city. Navadware pure dehi. And I, let actions happen. Sannyasa aste sukham. Aste sukham is happily abiding. So you see, all this, Krishna is describing so that Arjuna is able to appreciate the difficulty in sannyasa and the comfortable ease of the karma marga. And Puja Swami Paramathananda has also said, he said how Krishna is doing a comparative analysis of both the ashramas. He says both have merits and demerits, but both are efficient. What is suitable for my mind, only I have to do. Yeah. But a life of activity is better for the majority. And peace of mind is an inner state of awareness. Yeah? So, if one dramatically just drops and escapes from the Grahastha ashrama, Swamiji said it's like jumping from the frying pan into the fire. So, there will be even more disaster. Like in the case of Arjuna, if he does not grab hold of this golden opportunity to prove his competence, then he is going to regret it later. Sitting under a tree, and he will be defamed, and we've seen all that in the earlier chapters. So now here the Jnana Yogi is described in a few more shlokas, and न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते. In 14, Krishna says that the Atma has no kartrutvam, and it does not create any objects or contact. Na karma phala sanyogam. So, swabhavah tu pravartate. So, we have seen this earlier also, how there is really no connection between Atma and Anatma. So, the connection is brought about by ignorance. I place the I notion in Anatma body, and then I become limited and finite and struggling. Karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi, jivaha, so and so. But if by gaining knowledge, I step back and I identify with the pure, actionless awareness, Atma, then the bodies come and go, arrive and depart, and then there is no real sambandha. That is what is told there. Then we come to an important shloka, number 17, where we are going to see the stages. Yeah, one more before that, 15. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuho ajnanena jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Na adatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuho ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. So, the Atma is not receiving any punyam or papam. Puja Swamiji would say Atma is like that Teflon non-stick pan. Nothing sticks to it. Neither papam nor punyam. So the papa punyam will go to the jiva's account. Who's the jiva? Jantavaha, who are mukhyanti, deluded. Who have deha abhimana, they will only go through papa and punyam. But not so the Atma, which is Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Muktaha. And so Krishna says, Svabhavaha pravartate. That is the nature. That is the gunas. The gunas are active in the mind. Is the mind sattvic? There will be sattvic actions. Rajasic actions. Tamasic actions. But Atma is actionless. Nirguna Parabrahma. Then we come to 17th shloka. Tadbuddhayastadaatmanam tannishthāstatparāyanāh gacchantya punaravrittim jnānanirdhūtakalmashaah. Again, can you see the loaded words? Each word is a compound. And so we see that each word represents a stage in the Jiva Yatra. First of all, we have to become Tatparayanas. Tatparayanas means for whom the Param Ayanam is Tat. Ishvara is the goal. Bhagavat Sarupa. Then I gain the Paroksha Jnanam. I do Shravanam and I know more and more about Ishvara. Then I become a Tat Buddhayaha. Then Tadatmanaha. That remote knowledge, Tat Brahma Aham Asmi, comes to Aparoksha Jnanam. This is Atma. That Brahma is this Atma, means I am a Tadatmanaha. And then when through Nididhyasnam, constant dwelling meditation, I become a Tannishtha. Tannishtha means the Nishtha or abiding clarity is there. And then Jnana Nirdhuta Kalmashaha. All the impurities are completely removed. The word there, initially there is a triangular format of perception. What is that? There is a Jiva, there is a Jagat, there is an Ishvara, right? So when I feel persecuted by the Jagat, I'm struggling in the Jagat, I go to Ishvara and ask for help. But the binary format is there is only two, Jiva and Ishvara. Because where is the Jagat? The Jagat is in the mind of Jiva. We are all experiencing the world not outside of us, but in the mind. So Jiva is a part of Jagat. So Jagat Jiva we can combine, and then there is Ishvara Paramatma. So the whole purpose of the study is to discover the Aikyam, the Jiva, Paramatma, Aikya, Jnanam. So that was the 17th. And then 18th is a beautiful verse talking about the Samadarsanam. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. So here Krishna says that, you see, the wise Pandit, Vidya Vinaya Sampannaha, who Sattva Guna Pradhana, and you take Gavi, a cow, a Hasti, elephant, Shuni, dog, or Shvapaka, one who cooks the dogs. Some countries eat all animals like snakes. We don't know what all they eat. But Panditaha Samadarshinaha, the upadhis, the packaging is all different. Shapaka and Shuni are considered tamasic, then Brahmana, sattvic packaging, externally, superficially. But, and in their heart, core existence is what? Nirdosham hi samam brahma. Next shloka. Nirdosham hi samam brahma is what the Mahatmas and the Panditas will always see. You know, the gold, the core existence, despite the packaging defects or merits. That is the sameness of vision. So this is the second topic of the stages of Jnanam. Then we come to the third topic. We'll take the verses 22 and 23. Very important verses. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkayonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Now we're coming to the phalam. So nateshu ramate buddhaha. Buddhaha is the same jnani under discussion. The sitaprajnaha, he will not revel in what? Contact-born pleasures. Samsparshajaha bhogaha. There is a contact with anatma, union with an object. That is depending on an external factor for happiness. Nateshu ramate buddhaha. This wise person is going to refrain from cravings. Why? Because they are dukkha yonayaha. They are future wombs of pain. Because they will create attachment, addiction, and struggle to, and repetitive cravings will be there. So the jnani will nip it in the bud, prajahati yadakaman, sarvan partha manogatan. Then 23rd shloka is again very important. Shaknoti ihaiva yasodhum praksharira vimokshanat. Kamakrodhod bhavam vegam sahayuktaha sasukhi naraha. Who is really the happy person? The one who has mastered the Vega. Vega means that force, the powerful force of desire. Kama. And Kama, Krodha are really one. Yeah, Krodha is unfulfilled Kama. We have seen that. So, Shaknoti ihaiva. Even while one is alive and the prarabdha is not over, before the fall of the body, prak sharira vimokshanat, if one is able to master the mind and this internal enemy called desire, saha sukhi naraha. Such a one is a happy person. So these shlokas are showing us the phalam. And then a few more shlokas about the benefit of this knowledge is Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishayah Kshina Kalmashaha Chinnadvaidhayatatmanaha Sarvabhuta Hiterataha. So these sages, Rishayah or Munis, Labhante, they gain what? Brahma Nirvanam, and they are freed from all the doubts. Yatatmanaha Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. So they are, they have no more emotional dependence. They have no more emotional dependence. And here again, we have a kind of a pyramid here. So Sarva Bhuta Hite Hitarataha means the one who revels in the Hitam, in Loka Sangraham. And the prayer in their mind will always be what? Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. They are Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. And then they become free from the Kalmasha, Papam, Sheena Kalmashaha. And they have mastered the mind and the senses, Yatatmanas, such sages, their doubts are dispelled, and Labhante, there is no doubt that they will gain what? Brahma Nirvanam. So the whole route is explained now. And now with this 26th verse, 26th or 25th, really, 25th verse, Krishna has completed this vast and subtle topic of karma. Remember, the Karma Yoga was introduced in chapter 2 by Krishna as Buddhi Yoga. Then 3, 4, and 5 talked about the various nuances of karma. What is refraining from karma? What is performance of karma? With attachment, without attachment, giving up the karma phala asakti, then giving up kartritva, notion that I do. All these were pointed out in these very intense, loaded chapters 3, 4, and 5. And with that, the karma topic ends. So the first 6 chapters in the Gita is called Tvampada Shatkam, about the Jiva. So the Jiva is any embodied human. So an embodied person will be engaged in karma. And so these chapters are very, very important to understand why I do what I do. Can I do it differently? And what is the phalam? So here the phalam was also pointed out in these shlokas. Always twofold phalam will be there. One is Jivan Mukti. Jivaneva Mukti. That is, even while I am embodied, Prarabdha has not ended yet. There is the inner freedom and peace. As a Yadricha Labha Santushtaha. Come what may, I welcome with Prasad Buddhi and Samatvam. And the second phalam is Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti is after the Prarabdha is over, there is no return to samsara, no more moha, and no more punarjanma. So, because this jnani has discovered that emotional independence, and so that word also came somewhere, akshayam sukham apnoti. Yeah? Verse 21. Saha brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. We have seen experiential ananda always centered on some external object, situation, event, person will be in degrees. Priya moda pramoda. But not so for the one who has gained the Brahma Nirvanam. He enjoys the Akshayam Nitya Sukham, the unfading and permanent Ananda in the form of the fullness which is discovered. So we see that how Karma Yoga is a very, very important route because one cannot suddenly discover the Atma Tattvam. Yeah? It takes a certain contemplative, purified, steadied mindset to discover that the Atma's nature. And so Krishna is constantly telling Arjuna to engage in Karma Yoga and in order to steady and purify the mind and to appreciate and to come to the discovery of Atma Tattva. Now we have 3 more verses, 27, 28, and 29. And these are called Bija Shlokas. Sometimes, at the end of a chapter, we will have shlokas which introduce the next chapter. And the next chapter 6 is what? Dhyana Yoga, meditation. So, Dhyana, what is really Dhyanam in the context of Vedanta? Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means all that I've heard, Shravanam and Mananam, I have done upon that. Now I own it up. But because we all have Dehatma Buddhi, even after years and maybe decades of Shravanam and Mananam of the Gita and Upanishad, I still take this body to be I. This is how I think, and this is, I'm sad, happy, struggling. This is my body. That I notion, if it has to go, it can only go by Nididhyasanam. So Krishna introduces the chapter, the next chapter, now itself at the end. And so in 27, Krishna says, Sparshan kritva bahirbahyaan chakshushaivaantare bhruvoho pranapana samokritva nasabhyantaracharina. Sparshan kritva bahihi bahyan. May one keep the world and objects outside. That is, when I sit down to meditate, let me not be pay attention to these distractions. Let me have that strong vairagyam. Sparshan kritva bahihi bahyan. And then chakshushaivaantare bhruvo. And then these are the steps to meditate. Focus the gaze in between the eyebrows, internally, of course, and engage in pranayama. Pranayama, we all know, is a wonderful practice which regulates the prana, and the prana being the subtle link between the physical body and the subtle mind. So if I want the mind to contemplate on Atma, first I have to do some japam, some pranayama to steady it. Yeah. After a huge 1 day of activity, hectic activity, I cannot simply sit and meditate on Atma. The mind will run to all the objects. So there is a way to slow down the mind through pranayama, through japam, and so on. And then I distance myself from the world and practice pranayama. Then yatendriya mano buddhihi munir moksha parayanaha vigate chabaya krodha yasada mukta evasaha. Then this munihi, who is a moksha parayanaha, for whom moksha is the goal, masters the mind and the buddhi and the senses, and free from raga, bhaya, krodha is sada muktaha. So these two shlokas are talking about the path to meditation, the mastery. Then the final shloka 29, Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvalokamaheeshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shantim pritchati. Krishna says, Bhoktaram sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam. Krishna says, the one who knows me, Krishna Tattvam, as sarvaloka maheshwaraha, as Suhrid, friend of all. And who's the real Bhokta? Bhokta means Krishna is the Atma Tattvam who is receiving all the Bhoga Vastus. That is a real receiver of all our actions. Because we are offering all the actions to as Krishnarpanam. So Krishna says, I am the Bhokta, the one who understands this Tattvam, Shantim Pritchati. So attains the ultimate Shanti. So that marks the end of this Sannyasa Yoga chapter, which is a little bit more detailed than Jnana Karma Sannyasa. And, it totally defines the total renunciation, what that is all about. So we have seen these are the chapters. The last chapter introduces us to the 6th chapter, which is Dhyana Yoga chapter. And these 3 chapters have sannyasa in their titles. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, and Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Panchamodhyayaha. So now we are clear about the word sannyasa, samyak nyasaha. In chapter 2, we came across a verse, Param Drishtva Rasopi na Nivartate. That is nyasa. If I just give up some habit, sugar habit, let's say, or coffee, then but the rasa is inside my mind, the samskara. So we saw earlier Krishna said, Param Drishtva. When one gains the Param Jnanam, even the rasa, the taste will go away, will not return. So that is the only sure way of being completely free from the bondage of karma. So now, to see, how important this awareness is. So we can appreciate that sannyasa is not running away to an ashram, to a cave, dropping everything, but it is gaining the Atma Anatma Viveka. For example, Swamiji would tell the story about how a man was driving a car 80 kilometers an hour, and he comes and visits a friend, and he says, here I am, I traveled 80 kilometers an hour. The friend knows that the man did not go anywhere. The car traveled, and the man was simply relaxing in the back seat and enjoying the ride. So Atma is somewhat like that relaxed jiva as awareness. Yeah? The awareness does not travel, does not do anything, but the bodies are all acting, talking, eating, dreaming, sleeping, and all these activities. Like coming back to the pot, I move the pot, pot is moving, yes. Is the space in the pot moving? You all know the answer. No. Space cannot move, right? Space appears to move, just like the man in the car appears to move along with the car. Yeah. In fact, what is the right thing we would say? The pots are moving in space. Yeah. So you see all the galaxies, the planets and the jivas and the continents, all there is movement everywhere. Although it looks very stable right now. Earth is spinning, everything is spinning. All actions are happening where? In the actionless Atma awareness. And Krishna says, once you know me as that actionless awareness, as that is the Bhokta, that is Sarva Loka Maheshwaraha, and that is Suhrit, then one gains the ultimate peace. That is moksha. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.